What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on my channel, and all I have to say in this video is not much, but this. Exactly. I'm wondering it, you guys are wondering it, we're all wondering it, what happened to the penny stock MBOT today? If you're not aware, the stock ran from like $2 all the way up until about $11. So it had about a little more than a 300% gain on the day, which is absolutely crazy. So many of you guys are asking questions. What's going on with the stock? Should you buy it? Shouldn't you buy it? And what I have to tell you is probably not to buy it. The likelihood that MBOT is going to come crashing down is very likely. Right now, the stock has become extremely high-risk stock. Tons of short sellers have now started watching it. I've even started watching it short, and I'm looking at different options to short the stock right now. So yeah, probably not your best bet to start buying this, but let's walk you guys through exactly what happened. I've had a lot of questions today on how do you stay in something like MBOT all day without getting shook out? How are you able to hold a winner throughout the all day on something like MBOT? So let's look at the stock. We're gonna go through a bunch of levels, and I'm gonna break this down as best I can in technical terms for everybody so you guys can learn along the way. So let's check it out. Let me start sharing the screen. All right, here we are. Well, actually, this is NBEV, but this is MBOT. So MBOT, M-B-O-T. Let's look at it from a yearly standpoint. So right now, we're looking at a yearly chart. You can see this thing has gone absolutely crazy today, and it went from $1.38 down here all the way to a high of basically 10.50 up here. So that's a massive move. All in one day's time, it's jumped from about 2 all the way to 10.50. So that's really, really big. This is the type of stock that all retail penny stock traders just live and are just dying to see happen every single day. This is what we're really looking for when we're trading. Now, there's a couple things you have to know about penny stocks, okay? Is typically they're always trending down. Most of the time, a penny stock is trending down, and that's because they're usually not that good, okay? The reason that this stock started moving today, for one, was it had a bunch of, well, not really a bunch, but it had some news in regards to their shunt, some products or medical devices and products they have. Apparently, something came through positive with one of their products in one of their studies, and that is what really boosted the stock up. Now, I'm also going to show you a news release that was sent out on this stock a couple days prior to it actually going nuts. So, look down here in the news section as I bring it up. You probably won't be able to read it from this video, but you can go back and look at it, and it was on, I think, 1/7. So January 7th, there was a headline that came out. Was it January 7th? Yeah, or no, the 8th. January 8th. MBOT squeeze mode. This is exactly what it says. MBOT squeeze mode. This low floater has a history of big rallies. CHFS on higher alert as well. Tweet from a notable trader, Tony Costa. Okay. So he had tweeted out something about a squeeze mode. That's what made me start watching it. I sent it out to our private group, and I actually forgot to watch it. A few of our private members ended up grabbing it, but I mentioned to watch MBOT a couple days ago. I ended up not even trading it. I completely missed it. But there you go, right there in the news. A trader came out, said, hey, look at this, is about to squeeze. And then what do you know, a couple days later, they come out with some news that says, oh, Microbat Medical increases its global IPO portfolio. Recent study validates the operational effectiveness of Microbat's Medical's self-cleaning shunt. So a bunch of good news started coming out. Next thing you know, the stock goes nuts. So that's kind of the news side of it, why it started kind of pumping up, why people were starting to pay attention to it. Now, on the technical side, or the technical terms to trading it, for one, right here, the stock had broken over kind of the previous high. That was one little thing, okay? Stock breaking over the previous high. Also, something you will want to pay attention to is look at the amount of volume that the stock had today. Just take note on that. This thing had upwards of more than 20 million shares traded today, and look at the volume for the last year. Nothing. Absolutely no volume until today. Okay, something just to take note of. And like I said before, penny stocks are naturally trending down. And when they have these big spikes, if you go back and look at other recent penny stocks that have run, when they have these big spikes, they a lot of times will run right into the moving average and then they'll sell off. This one today broke over the 200 moving average just briefly today. That's also something you want to pay attention to. 200 moving averages, 200 exponential moving averages or simple moving averages on a yearly time frame for penny stocks as they're trending down. When they spike and they start squeezing up and they hit those moving averages, a lot of times they'll end up selling off. Okay, moving forward. What has been going on with this stock? It's been downtrending for a long time, so it's safe to say there's probably been some long-term short sellers, all right? Some long-term shorts riding this stock down, and then when today all of a sudden it reverses and starts going up, a lot of those shorts are getting squeezed, hence the short squeeze. Okay, so a lot of shorts are getting squeezed. All right, now we're going to go look at it in the chart on a 5-minute time frame. Actually do a 1 minute. So on a 1 minute time frame this morning, right? What do a lot of you guys know about penny stocks? We're going to search for something that's gapping up. So as you can see this morning, obviously MBOT was something that was gapping up, right? Gaps up, should be on your watch list. It was on our watch list. I just stopped paying attention to it. I pay attention to NBEV and traded NBEV today. By the way, I did pretty well. I made a couple $1,000s on that one. So I wasn't trading this stock. Some people in our chat room were, but I wasn't. But to walk you through it, again, we're looking for a stock gapping up. This morning, if you would have looked at MBOT, you would have found that it was gapping up on some pretty strong news, okay? And if you would have looked down and, looked at the yearly chart, you would have been able to say, wow, okay, this is a big gap up. This has a nice looking curl. Maybe this can move. So then when you come and you look back into the intraday time frame, walking you through what happens, right? Stock opens up, doesn't sell off. We get our first initial pop on the day, which then runs up. What I'm going to draw, well, first I just kind of I'm going to draw over all these chart. Actually, I won't do that. What I'll do is show you just how crazy the support levels held today. So what you'll notice a lot of times, if you guys are newer, you probably won't know this, but if you're, have been trading for a while, you'll probably know this. But what you have to understand, right, about trading stocks is we always say buy low, okay? Buy low, and then of course sell high. Everyone's like, duh, Connor, everyone's gonna be in the comments, duh, buy low, sell high. Of course that's what you do, obviously. But everybody still fails to do that. Let me show you what I mean by buy low, sell high, okay? So what you are typically taught in some videos, or maybe you've learned it, in some places, is to buy the breakout or buy over the break of high of day, okay? Which I do every once in a while depending on the situation. It's not entirely bad, but a lot of you guys will probably have heard the term buy on the break over high of day or buy the breakout over highs. Okay, that's really not the best strategy or best approach to trading given the situation. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. But most oftentimes it doesn't. And you have to be able to understand when and when it won't work out or when you should take a trade like that. So let's just walk you through. Let's say you bought the break over high of day every time here. So there was one attempt down here where if you would have bought the break of high a day, and let me get arrows here and let's zoom in a tad bit more. Okay, so let's say you buy break of high a day. So you buy the breakout high a day there. That one actually worked and you would have been able to make a nice win. But what if you tried to buy the breakout over high a day here? You would have bought the breakout. Yeah, you would have made a pretty nice win there. Okay, what happens if you buy the breakout here? You would have been able to make a nice win. What happens if you bought the breakout over high a day? You would have been able to buy a nice win. So here's the issue with buying the breakout over high of day is, what do you notice? Once it breaks out over high of day, that's when it starts to really enter into the selling off phase or the consolidation phase, right? So every time you buy over the break on high of day, you'll notice that it's typically going to start doing its selling off phase. But if you were to go back and look, watch this. When something breaks out over the high of day, that will usually become the new support level. Okay, ready? So this one breaks high a day, it runs all the way up. Okay, then we put in this high here, and let me zoom in. So actually, let me just do this whole thing for you, then we'll go over it. Ready? I'm going to draw this out. Right there, 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 and there. Okay, now you'll see it becomes pretty obvious. Ready? And we're going to be using We'll use like, sure, we'll use blue. Okay, ready? Breaks out over high of day. That's the new high of day. It pulls back, breaks over high of day. Okay, when it pulls back here, it goes down to retest that level, breaks up, and then look what holds support. Starts holding support over that previous high of day. And that's a terrible color, so we're gonna redo this, and we're actually just gonna do it all in yellow. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this all up and get it all together so you guys understand why I'm doing this. Okay, so now that we've drawn those on, you see every time it breaks up, puts in a new high, it'll come down, test that breakout level, pushes up, ready, puts in a new high, comes down, it tests that previous high, right? It breaks up, goes over, comes down, tests that previous high, ready, breaks out, goes over, comes down, tests the previous high. Every time it bounces, it's on the previous high, okay? So what you can then say to yourself is, rather than buying the breakout, right? If you're a little late, don't worry about buying the breakout. Wait till it pushes up, does its thing, consolidates, comes down, and see how it acts on the nearest or last breakout level, which would have been right there. And that's, if it does respect and you take the trade and you take the entry, now what you're doing is you're buying the dip. Or you are buying low. Because if you're buying there, you're buying the low point of that move. And then you can sell. Ooh, that's all really ugly, but you get the point. You can sell high. Okay, so now that we've kind of covered that, what the main point of this is when you're watching a stock, a lot of time these big penny stocks that start running will break out, and they'll come back down at some point to test their previous high breakout level. And if they hold, you can buy on that support level and ride it up hoping that it has a new breakout. And when it does, you can sell into that move. Now, people have questions about, how do I hold this all day long? Holding something like this all day long is extremely hard. Why? Because everything that happened today is called a short squeeze. Literally, this whole move up was basically one big momentum, one big MOMO. MOMO is short for momentum. One big momentum short squeeze, okay? And what I mean by that is when we see penny stocks like this run so high up, what happens is all the short sellers go, oh, it's up really high, I should short it, it's gonna come down. I'm gonna short it, it's gonna come down. And when it doesn't come down, all those shorts, they get squeezed out. And they go, okay, it's done running now, let me re-short it. They short it, they get faked out, they short again, fake out, big short squeeze. Back up again, they try and short it, they're wrong. The buyers are too strong, squeeze out again. So what happens on a lot of these big penny stock plays is once they're up a couple 100%, short sellers go, oh, it's up so much that it's gonna come down hard, and it's gonna come crashing down hard. So they all pile in short, when really it's just supposed to be getting bought up from the news and the strength of the news. It's really a bullish day for that stock, and as it gets higher and higher, more people short it. The more people that short it, the more aggressive the short squeeze. So every single time you've seen this pop up and start coming down, people were shorting it. Then they were wrong, they got squeezed. They shorted again, wrong, squeezed, shorted again. Wrong, squeezed, shorted again, squeezed, shorted again, almost worked out. Pops up, squeezed big time. And the reason you've seen the big squeeze right here, the reason that one was so big is because look at how aggressive the stock was rolling over. So at this point, they're like, okay, this is really coming down. It bounced a little bit, came up, they all re-shorted on that move. And then you can see this little wedge break. Snap right there. That's where all the shorts covered at one time and new buyers came in and squeezed the stock up. Okay, so a lot of times what you're going to see with these big penny stock, these big massive runners, is they'll start off, you know, relatively good, kind of slow. They'll pop up, then they'll get up a little bit more, and then all of a sudden they'll be up 50, 60, 70, 80%, 100%, 200%. And then the short sellers will go, okay, it's up so much that we'll short it, it's got to come down. Well, then a lot of times they're wrong, and then they short squeeze out. They get squeezed out of their position. Again, when you short a stock, you sell it first, and when you want to exit that position, you have to buy shares back. So if I'm a short seller and I enter short, I sell shares first, and when I exit, I buy shares back. Okay, so if I'm a short seller and I'm shorting a stock hoping it's going to go down and then I'm wrong, how I get out of that position is by buying the shares back. If I have to buy shares back, I will help cause the price to go up. Same thing vice versa. If I'm a buyer on a stock, I buy the stock, I'm adding to the buying pressure, and then when I want to exit, I have to sell. It's just backwards. So when you're short, you sell first and then buy back. When you're just a regular investor, you buy shares first, then you sell them, meaning you add to the buying and then you are the adding to the selling. When you're short, you add to the selling and then you add to the buying. So when you have a bunch of people short and they're all wrong, they all get squeezed out and all have to buy back their shares all at the same time because they know, oh shit, it's about to move higher. So they all get out usually right at the same time. So when we go back and look at the screen, now that I've explained that, it becomes pretty evident, pretty clear what happened right here. This thing was up, ready, watch. Let's just go from here. From the opening price, the stock was up 100% right there. So imagine a bunch of people get in short. They're like, okay, this thing's rolling over. We're all shorting. Okay, we get a little bounce. They try and short this pop right here to get it to come down. Okay, so you get a bunch of people getting in short. As soon as it breaks over that trend line, right? Let me ask you this, right? Some of you newer traders, right? Let's say you wanted to get short. You thought this was going to start crashing and you start shorting. If all of a sudden it pops up and you're short on it and all of a sudden it starts to curl like this and you get one big candle like that, are you going to stay in your position or does it look like the stock has changed its trend in direction? I would be getting out too. So right there, everybody who was short, they all covered, okay? And they continued this move up. So a lot of that's what's happening right now, or did happen for the most part, okay? Now that this has happened, most likely tomorrow, okay, and again, we're at the 200 moving average. Usually the 200 moving average can hold up as a good resistance. It's likely that tomorrow we're gonna see MBOT up higher pre-market. If not, it's most likely going to double top here at 11.16, and then it's going to have a very fast, aggressive trading day in the morning. We're usually going to follow by a big panic sell-off or a big squeeze up. Most likely going to see a very aggressive, very volatile start tomorrow on MBOT. But just know this has entered a big short seller watch list. So right now is not usually going to be a good time to now trade it. The only thing you're going to be trading on this now is maybe some reversal scalp trades, or you're probably going to want to start getting short bias on the stock. So I hope this video kind of helps you guys one way or the other, help you guys understand what's really taking place during some of these penny stock moves, and to give you some helpful tips along the way, and hopefully you've learned something as well. So as always, if you can, give us a thumbs up on the channel. It does help us grow, and as always, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next video. So take care.